Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Snowflake Office Hours with RevZilla, an online motorcycle gear retailer. Over the next 30 minutes, we will spend time talking to Maura Travis, Director of Analytics at RevZilla. Being immersed in analytics every day, Maura will talk about her journey to Snowflake and offer insights into how retailers should think about implementing a data warehouse from scratch, as RevZilla did. My name is Jeannie Liu. I'm a product marketing manager here at Snowflake. I'll be the moderator for today's event. The recording and slide deck will be made available to all attendees upon completion of the session. We will hold all questions until the end, but as always, please ask any and all questions because no question is off limit. Without further ado, Maura, off to you.
Thank you, Jenny. Hello, everybody, and I'm going to give us a little background about what we do here at RevZilla and how we came to utilize Snowflake in our day-to-day. So first off, RevZilla is a motorcycle company, e-commerce retailer that focuses on parts, accessories, gear, all things motorcycle. We were founded in 2007, so we are the traditional startup by riders for riders. We do have a brick and mortar store, but mostly we are an e-commerce business. And our value prop is we are insanely customer focused. And it's all about driving that motorcycle enthusiast and educating them, entertaining them, and making sure that we have everything that they need. Our data situation. So again, we were founded in 2007 as an e-commerce website, and we have collected data, web logs, the back end, all of our transactional data. We have stored data over all the years, so we are not lacking in the data world. What we had was we were literally using our back-end admin system, which is just all of our transactional data coming off of the website. And the problem is we have desperate data. There's data everywhere. There was no place to actually integrate the data, and you're trying to get one truth out of all this data over 12 different departments that are running everything from marketing to logistics. And that becomes a pain point as you try to grow and make really great decisions to drive your business forward as you mature. So we do get daily feeds from our physical store and our online store. We have batch load of multiple data sources, including like Google Analytics, NetSuite, which is our accounting software. Of course, our web logs that's showing page views, clicks, and everything that's going on. And then Postgres is our customer information and that back-end data. We have utilized Fishtown Analytics, DBT, for data cleansing. And then we had we had them do a little bit of work for us to help us manage some of that data. We use it's a ClickView or ClickSense is now what we're on as our BI tool. We also use Looker a little bit as well, and then we use Snowflake for our data warehousing, which right now we're about 1 terabyte compressed. So the data challenges, again, we have several different departments. It's about 12 different functional departments, including merchandising and purchasing, your catalog, marketing, accounting, sales, fulfillment, logistics, media, customer service. It's everywhere. Everyone everywhere needs data. We have lots of big data, meaning like Google Analytics. Because we are an e-commerce platform, Google Analytics is sending us about 6 million rows of JSON daily to give us all the interactions that are happening on the front end of our website. Not to mention your accounting, so your NetSuite, so all of the invoicing and all of the payables, all of that is in. And then ERP is our back-end admin system. Depending on where you go, data can be manipulated any way you want to slice and dice it. So having different sources everywhere and different tools everywhere it becomes a little hazardous. And it was just difficult to access data. So it kind of kept departments kind of siloed. So again, some of those the challenges were definitely, when we wanted to do reporting on a monthly or quarterly basis, we were talking about each one of these 12 different departments would receive a copy of the production data out of our back-end, our ERP system, and they would spend, half a day to some departments a couple of days in order to get their data built out into usable views in order to report on. So, in prepping the data, we were spending, $150,000 to $200,000 in just resources and manpower to get this done on a yearly basis for all the different, weekly versus monthly versus quarterly versus yearly reporting. And then the reports, like I said, there's no automation when you're just getting a dump, and the dump can change, a data dump can change, every time that they pull it, depending on what new measures we add to it. So building out automated reports is a little bit difficult. And then your teams, of course, stay disconnected because they're pulling their own data in their own ways instead of having one, existing truth. We did look at several different options on-premise with the Teradata. We did look at cloud, like Redshift was just a lot of high maintenance or more management than we would like to do. Considering we're a startup, we don't have a lot of resources. We want to maximize our efficiencies as best as possible. BigQuery through Google Analytics we could have utilized for at least part of it, but it does have its own SQL dialect, which is a little bit more difficult to teach. And then we did have a preference for the cloud. The simplicity, the integration with Illuma. Illuma is who we use as our pipeline to pipe in the data. And then the cost. We only pay for what we use, and we can size it at any time depending on what we're doing. So, of course, when you look at all of those things, Snowflake was a clear winner for us. Also, because we are an e-commerce platform, the amount of JSON that is coming in from all of those web sessions, we are ingesting, 6 to 7 million rows daily. And Snowflake can process this when we run it on small in about 8 hours, but we can scale it to extra large, let it run 20 minutes, and then turn it back down. So being able to scale the power of Snowflake and utilize it where we need it is very optimal for the type of data that we're pulling in. So our data architecture, again, you can see Snowflake sits in the middle. You have Illuma that is piping all of our data into Snowflake, but we have data. This is actually a pretty view of our data flows. We actually have about 300 different sources. When you add in like all of the different third-party marketing tools, our carriers like UPS and FedEx to get like shipping times and shipping labels, and then you have so you have the admin, you have the web logs, you have NetSuite and Google Analytics, but we've left down all these other tools that we also use it won't fit on one slide, you guys. But what we do is we pull it in through Illuma using that pipeline, pull it into Snowflake, and then we do, and then we model. We model our table structures there utilizing DBT, which is it's a framework that we adopted from Fishtown Analytics uses it. And it's a data cleansing tool where we do all of our validation, and then we go into our analytics schema. So now we have nice, clean data in different user schemas that all sit in Snowflake that anybody can access anywhere in the company. And then we spit that out. What we use is we use ClickSense and Looker as our BI tools to kind of set up executive dashboards that the nice clean reporting so that we can start owning that one source, one truth, and everybody among all of the different departments can get to the exact same number no matter which way that they look at it. It sits right there. It's real-time connections. We have them. We have different connections refreshing at different times, but we do have real-time analytical trending and visuals from executive levels that are real high level to even just granular details of exactly what an order did. Why we chose Snowflake, it is a complete SQL database. One of the things that we love about that is hiring computer science guys straight out of college. It's an easy thing to train. It doesn't take a lot of time to scale up your programmers. Zero management, it holds all of our data. It scales to size. So as many pipelines of data that we can throw into it, it will hold it. The concurrency and scale, and of course, again, we pay for only what we use. So very feasible, very low maintenance. I don't see a better winner. And then our impact after Snowflake, again, the ingestion of the JSON and being able to see all of the interactions that happen on our website, that is the bulk of all of our decisions, is understanding and being able to optimize in this e-commerce world, being able to optimize on the fly by being able to see this data and how our customers are interacting with the mobile experience versus a desktop experience, and being able to have all of that data and have it at our fingertips to know, hey, this is working, this isn't working, and being able to move fast and move with the market and be exactly what our customers need us to be at every single moment. Data in one place, the single source of truth, that is one of the hardest things to build out for a company, but it is truly the thing that takes us to the edge and makes us really powerful and makes us, one of the leaders in our industry. It is very analytics friendly. We have powered up a couple of power users inside Snowflake and getting their own granular data. However, we do utilize the BI tool, ClickSense, a lot more for self-service for the majority of our departments. However, one of our goals is to have a Power SQL Snowflake user for every single department to help, because we will never be able to scale analytics to the size of the department it probably needs to be to answer every question. Again, there's no additional data prep for users, and it's fully self-service. So we're putting data in the hands of every single one of our staff, including our co-ops, and they can run their business and they can make great decisions on the fly. And so the power it has enabled us and the way it has enabled us to move fast, we have definitely made the right decision. Questions? I think I might have ran through that kind of fast, you guys. Sorry.
Thank you, Maura. That was super helpful. And we have a handful of questions coming in. So one of the things I found really interesting was you said that you're spending about $150 to $200K just on prepping data. So talk us through what that actually looks like and potentially some figures now.
Okay. Yes. So before we had this data, the Snowflake, so literally all we had was our back-end admin system, which the founders of our company did build a really great transactional database that sits, on the back end of the e-commerce website. So what they would do is they would have to write a script and pull, all of this data out of the replica server, and then they would have to send out, massive amounts of data on CSV files. Now, some of that could be tech time, and some of it was, programmer time to pull these, and some of them would have to be special requests. But for the most part, they would pull just all of the data down to a replica server and then send out CSV files to each department head. Then those department heads were having to parse through and, load it to Excel or an Access database, depending on what they were looking for. And like I said, because it's transactional, we're constantly changing things on the front end. So there's constantly new fields. There's new ways to look at data. There was, and being from a startup, it changed really, really fast. So the data changed every single time. So for a quarterly, they would, pull down this massive amount of data. The department heads would get them, and they're handing them out to all of their employees. And you're talking about just a small report of taking that CSV file and making like one dashboard that would show, let's just take like a marketing campaign, like a paid search, and just being able to look at the number of sessions and the amount of ad spend that they had and their conversion rate. I mean, it would take, couple of people on the paid search team at least a full day. And so, 2 to 3 salaries in just that one team for just paid search, one of our 14 marketing channels, a day to possibly 2 days to build out graphs and tables and different trends to just show, hey, this is how we did this quarter. And that just becomes very expensive. And like I said, that was just one little team. We have 14 marketing channels that would have to have a readout on that. Then you have, of course, we have, lots and lots of SKUs, lots and lots of brands. So we have several different segments. We sell apparel, accessories, electronics. So then you have all the buyers also utilizing the same data pool and trying to understand year over year how much they had in demand and sales versus prior year, and what top products are selling and what products are not, and the margin and the cost, and and that's just the buyers. And then you've got, logistics and being able to see, okay, well, what did we ship out and what was the freight charges? And a lot of that, on part of that, is you can get so much out of the transactional system of, hey, we sold this many units, they shipped in this period, here was the average time in transit, but because it's just in the transactional database, you don't have that extra data source of enrichment of getting the carrier costs back from UPS or from FedEx or from USPS, because we were not grabbing that data and putting it into the system. Same thing on the marketing. We had paid search. You could see the sessions and stuff that you could get from GA that was feeding to the admin, but you also have other sources that you use, those third-party sources, such as like a Kinshu or a Google AdWords, that gives you a little bit more enriched data. They weren't even getting that. So the amount of hours it takes to do a quarterly, that also takes away from being proactive and running campaigns and going after new stuff, because you are spending anywhere from, a day to, possibly 4 days just to put together a quarterly retro view of, hey, this is what happened. And therefore you're losing all that opportunity of what are you doing today to drive tomorrow's sales.
Excellent. Thank you, Maura. Yes, sounds like it, but it seems like it's much more streamlined now. So there are multiple questions regarding the same concept, which is real-time dashboards and visualization. So the first question is from this individual. He notices that after Snowflake, the consumption layers begin to be the bottleneck as data gets consumed. So what are the key partners you evaluated for real-time dashboards and visualization? And what are some other visualization tools that you're using that actually get connected to Snowflake? So the first part is key partners, and the second part is the specific visualization tools.
Okay, so our key partners on are we talking about on the business intelligence side, so using the data out of Snowflake and the BI tools that gets that, or are we talking about key partners as in who helps us get the data into Snowflake and modeled out?
Let's talk about the output, so the BI, yep.
Okay, so BI, we looked at all of them. I have a BI architect that did BI consulting. And so we utilize, between my team's expertise and all of our experience at previous companies, we've used ClickView, ClickSense, Tableau, Looker. I mean, there have been several. The two hot ones right now, of course, are Click and Tableau. And there's benefits to both of them. We utilize ClickSense because it just has made sense for us. Tableau has some cleaner visualizations, I think. However, there's a lot of work being done on Click for them to, stay in the marketing and compete. So their visualizations are getting better and better with every single refresh, and they send out a refresh about it's about every 3 months. So it's about once a quarter that there's a new patch with upgrades, and it's a great forum. They're a great partner for us. We're able to, it has lots of encryption and security so that we can lock down certain apps that only certain people have used to. So like, salaries and wages and things like that, a lot of the accounting stuff, we can lock that down to where only certain users get to see those things. We also, it's the way that we set it up is we came in, it uses load scripts. It can connect directly to our Postgres instance or to Snowflake. The majority of all of our apps connect directly to Snowflake because that is where our data has been cleaned and modeled out, and so that is our preferential choice, is to make sure that all of our tools are coming off of the Snowflake analytics schema. So ClickSense has been that. Tableau was quite more expensive for the number of seeds that we could get. Click has been, very we are very price conscientious. Click has been able to work with us on that, and their support has been great. Did I answer all of the questions?
Absolutely, yep. We got a thumbs up from the individual who asked that question. So a couple of other questions related to the environment, and then we'll shift gears and talk about the business.
Okay.
So this question specifically involved integrating new data source. So how much work was it actually involved? You talked about website JSON data that was really important to running your business. So this question is similar in how did you integrate Google Analytics, for example? What was the workflow to bring in not just 300 sources of data, but data that has in different formats and semi-structured? So talk us through that.
Okay, well, keynote, I don't have to spend a lot of money on infrastructure on Snowflake, so I do get to spend money on talent. So I do have a great data architect and some data modelers. So kudos to them because, we are bringing in new data sources every single day. For BigQuery, so Google Analytics, we have Google Analytics 360, and so BigQuery is, of course, GA's back end. And so what we do there is BigQuery doesn't go through Illuma, which is, what the vendor that we use to pipeline and stream our data in there. Instead, we have BigQuery, and we set up the procedure it's BigQuery straight to Snowflake. And so what we did is we modeled out that data. And so we've used a lot of Python on that one. And they've been able to parse out that data, and we're actually doing another exercise right now and working with the Google team to understand some of the data-driven modeling they've done in their back end that you could utilize BigQuery for, and actually modeling that into our GA tables inside of Snowflake. So I don't know all of the details about some of the magic that my data architect and data modelers do. However, we pipe in the data, high level. We pipe in the data usually through Illuma, but we can use AWS or we can use, just straight Lambda scripts. But we pipe that in, we get it into Snowflake, and then we utilize DBT, which is just a framework. So it's it's building out that mid and mod layers and forming the data into a customer model, and then it has cleansing layers. And we set up different testing screens so that we have alerts if data comes in with like null values where they shouldn't be, or with different types of data that doesn't fit that framework. Yeah, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of us sitting down sometimes and brainstorming and understanding the data. So, the admin data, the BigQuery data, all of those things are easy, and the format's not too terrible. But when we're working with like third-party marketing vendors like a Kenshu or some of these retargeting marketing channels or whatever, sometimes it's sitting down with them and understanding their tools and working with them to figure out how we're going to utilize the API to pull in that data and ingest it. So it is an exercise that we sit down and we look at what do we need from these data sources, and we kind of brainstorm and we build a model, whiteboard it a lot of times, and then my data modeler sits down and starts writing out its bus matrix and starts pulling it in. There's some things that we do, very structured where we have fact and dimension tables, and then there's some sources that we're literally just pulling it through an API and pulling it in. It kind of depends on the situation.
Absolutely, all about the context. So a couple of other questions before we dive into the business details. So this is more having to do with your environment. And the first question related to that is, do you guys have a hybrid solution? So do you have an Oracle database anywhere that you're getting data from? And if so, are you using ODBC connectors?
No, we do not have, we are not utilizing an Oracle database. All we have is our Postgres database, and it feeds directly into Snowflake.
Excellent. And then this also has to do with your environment. So when you look at your warehouse sizes and just the workloads that you're using, how do you determine which warehouse? So for everyone on the line, our warehouses are virtual warehouses that can be set up as t-shirt sizes all the way from extra small to 4XL. So Maura, when you look at your environment, how are you determining the size?
So it depends on the amount of data that we are pulling in and how often it needs to be refreshed, and then how often it is being utilized. So we have some data sources that, it's smaller. So it might be like a third-party marketing, which we do need daily. However, what we've designed is when we make those API calls, we don't need all of the data. There's certain ones. So those run on small. However, when we are ingesting like our Google Analytics data or that BigQuery data, we do run that on extra large because we need that data refreshed on a regular basis, and we need it to, and it's a lot of tables that it feeds. So it really just depends on the usability of it, or the front end user, how often it needs to be refreshed, and how much of the data is used on a closer to a real-time versus an analytical approach. So mainly for analytics, we like our data to rest, and we don't try to use too much transactional data because we are analytics. However, there are things that we do need daily, and we need to be able to see daily sales, and we need to monitor things that are happening on the website right now outside of GA. When we run holiday sales and stuff like that. So that's kind of what makes the decision on the majority of the time, is just when do people need the data, and how much data is that?
Absolutely, that makes sense. Question also related to environment. So when you look at the tables, do you perform any clustering to optimize them for queries? And if so, what's your strategy behind query optimization?
So yes, we do some clustering. Query optimization, again, it's a little bit different for us because, like I said, we are an analytics department. So the way that we are utilizing Snowflake is our one source, one truth. So we're not doing a lot of transactional or right now reporting out of it. So we're kind of able to scale and set up the queries to run, at certain points, and kind of set up this batch scheduling. So it just kind of depends on the sources, but with using the BI tool, and honestly, it kind of depends on the source too. So like BigQuery, you have anywhere from a 24-hour to a 48-hour window that you have to wait for data for good data, because it's going to still change, and it's just part of the source data. So yeah, we utilize it, but it's kind of like on a case-by-case basis, and it really depends on how the business changes and how the business has decided to make decisions based off of the data. So we can scale it up and we can scale it down, and we're still kind of building out some of that and trying to decide and make a more not a structured approach to it, but more of a long-term solution and kind of make it more scalable. So that one's still in the works, and we're kind of playing it by ear and still learning as we grow. We've had Snowflake for 2-3 years now. For quite a bit of time now, and so it's still every day we learn something new. I will give you this: Snowflake technical support team is absolutely wonderful, and when we ingest like new data or we run into an issue with like looking at a new data source and how to pull it in, they have always been able to feed us like best practices, and we always reach out to them and get lots of help of, hey, this is how we would recommend doing this. So I will give kudos to the technical support team. They are always on point with us and helping us to still learn that and frame that out as we grow. Oh, I don't think it was stated yet either, you guys, in like the intro or in the presentation. But yes, this company was founded in 2007. Analytics. I was hired to the company in January of 2018. So I'm only a year and a half in, and so analytics is very new, and building out a scalable database is still very new to the company, and every day we get to learn lessons, but it makes us stronger, and we're getting better at it every day.
Excellent. Well, thanks for the kudos to the tech support team. I'm sure they'll be very glad to hear that. So shifting gears here, as I mentioned before, let's go to the business side. So this question in particular came about personalization. So how does the marketing and consumer insight team use data to personalize user experience? Yes. So I've mentioned this a couple of times, is third-party marketing tools. So we use a couple of things. So one thing is, of course, that JSON data that we are getting from BigQuery, right? So we're monitoring everything. We have everything tagged on our website. We're pulling in all of that. We can see all the interactions, all the events that are happening on our website. We can see where there's pain points where consumers are falling off. So we are pulling in all of that data. Now, in the personalization piece, we are using, we do model our customers. And so we are, being in the motorcycle industry, we do have we have a niche customer, and we have customers that fit into different rider types. So we have, dirt, street, Harley, like V-twin cruisers. We have different types of riders. So we do collect that data on the front end. We ask people to sign up for accounts, and then, we have a loyalty program where we incentivize them to fill out that customer information and to build a profile so that we can know, when they log into the site that, hey, this person is a V-twin rider. So we try to show them more V-twin stuff. But we use that, and we have a tool that we've gone with. We use sell-through with our email, which is collecting data, and we can build user profiles so that we can send out targeted emails. All of that is also being brought into Snowflake and put inside and is part of our customer data model that we've built inside of Snowflake. We also have Blue Conic. And so these are two of the marketing tools that we use that do help us personalize. We are nowhere near where we want to be in that, because we're constantly learning new things about our customers and about the way that they shop. So it's an everyday exploration of new insights. But we are feeding in all of this data. We are tagging them to their full user ID and starting to look at all of the different customers and their interactions and the different ways that they interact with our website, how they like to interact. But we have utilized all that, brought all that data into Snowflake, and that is being ingested into some marketing click apps. So we actually have a click app that actually shows which marketing channels bring in first-time purchasers, which one, and we can see to a campaign like
to an actual campaign, like this keyword on paid search. We can see, hey, this social campaign is bringing in this many interactions, whether it be likes or shares. We're pulling all that data into one place in Snowflake, and then we have a click out that sits on top of it so that our marketing team, our performance marketing team, can drill down and see exactly where they're getting engagement, where they're getting clicks, where they're getting conversions, and what's working. So it kind of gives them good leading and lagging indicators as into tweaking and where to push that marketing spend based off of our corporate, our corporate goals. So, being in the motorcycle industry, first-time purchasers is a big it's a big goal every single year to increase how many first-time purchasers we bring on. Considering we are very much a community retailer, and we are trying to, our consumers like being in a community, and so making sure that we bring in all that Facebook data and Instagram data. But yes, that is one of the beautiful things of Snowflake is it's easy for us to connect to all of these third-party tools that we invest in, bring all the data together, and then to build it out into our customer data model so that we can, we can target. We can say, hey, we know these customers, here you go, and we send it through sell-through, and now we have a targeted email campaign for V-twin riders who last bought a helmet. Now they're ready for their purchasing patterns to buy let's say it's a jacket because it's getting close to wintertime. We can see all of those things because we can see all the transactional data plus what our customers, what type of customers we have. I think that answered it. It might have been long-winded, you guys.
Absolutely, Maura. That's so interesting to hear. And though it's by no means a straight line, it's good to still see the connection from how you literally operated a data warehouse and got real business value. So great data points. As I mentioned, there are no questions off limit, so let's go to this question. So no products are perfect. We all know that. What would you have Snowflake add or maybe even change?
I don't know at this point, other than, for us being, starting up and just trying to meet scale, we are running, about 10 years behind, right? The company didn't think about analytics until, much later in its mature years. So right now, Snowflake has not been a disappointment for us. I know that that's probably not the right answer. I'm sure there's things that they could work on. My account rep has been absolutely wonderful. If I have questions, I'm immediately taken care of. When I need tech support, I'm immediately taken care of. And right now, considering, that we are at the very infancy of really building out a good, strong analytics database or data warehouse, the fact that we have such good technical support and account management support really helps us, because if we have a question or we can't figure out how to do something, they have held our hands and they have helped us build it from what they know. They have experience. They work with several other customers who are more experienced in data warehousing with Snowflake than we are. And so they always make sure that we are taken care of and that we can get our questions answered, and that we, they share their knowledge and they get us scaled up. So where we are in our journey with Snowflake, there's not really anything that I would change. I mean, getting the data in is great. The scalability, being able to change the warehouses, the processing time, everything has been very easy. It is truly low maintenance. The other thing that I would say is we love the SQL interface. That's been great. I've been able to hire young data modelers right out of college for very reasonable salaries and be able to get them scaled up, and that makes a huge difference, that it's not difficult to learn Snowflake. It's very user-friendly from our perspective.
Maura, 2 points that I wanted to highlight. So great to hear that you have a great relationship with your account manager. And the second is absolutely being, just having the sheer SQL skills gives anyone a competitive advantage, but especially when you're looking at cloud data solution to have the SQL capabilities built in. That's been such a blessing for our customers, which we're happy to see. So we are officially 10 minutes over. I do want to wrap it up with a plug for the free trial. So if you're interested in taking a look, please take a spin using our free trial on the URL at snowflake.com. And we'll see you at the next office hours in a couple of weeks. Thanks to you, Maura, and thanks everyone on the line for joining. Have a great day.
Thanks, you guys.